Right, we're back with more gaming news today. It's a busy week. New update for Arc Raiders, server slam for Marathon. The battle of the extraction shooters will be center stage this week. There's discussion around the content, aggression-based matchmaking. Marathon will be getting a roadmap. I didn't know Bungie did roadmaps. Destiny 2 players will know what I'm talking about there. We'll also speak about Crimson Desert. That's highly anticipated, coming in March. It turns out Sony tried to buy exclusivity from that developer, and the developer said, "Get stuffed," which broadly I think is a positive for gamers. Also in big publisher news, Xbox are shaking things up in a significant way. There's a new CEO over there, and they promise that there will be no AI slop. I guess time will tell. We got loads to discuss this week. I also didn't know there was a trend where loads of people are trying to be the burnt peanut now, but instead we've got burnt burgers, potatoes, and meatballs. They got vegan options as well. Putting your face on food is guaranteed big money if you want to stream video games. The world is going crazy, my friends. Let's round it up. Alright, up first, Arc Raiders got another of its planned roadmap updates this week in the form of Shrouded Sky, and it's an interesting one because of course it's landing the same week that the Marathon server slam begins, although I'm not sure it's intentional as Arc Raiders has had this roadmap for a while, and there'll also be additional updates in March and April, so I think both games are going to continue to kind of do their thing. Although Arc players are concerned about the number of nerfs that we had in the update this week, including the removal of PvP related feats, and there are PvP focused players who are concerned that Embark are actually leaning away from the PvP element of the game, stating that it makes Marathon more enticing. Obviously that's not everyone, but it's interesting. With Bungie also speaking about their plans for cheaters in Marathon this week, Embark have additionally said for Arc Raiders that they're continuing to tighten their rules and step up enforcement, and serious infractions now carry stricter consequences. Strong detections will receive permanent bans right off the bat, while others will receive a temporary suspension and a single chance to correct their behavior. On this discussion around Marathon and Arc Raiders, I've seen it reported quite a few times. With Arc Raiders' player base declining, could this be to the benefit of its main competitor, Marathon? Well, of course. There's a lot of crossover between the two titles. We should also keep in mind the drop-off of players from Arc Raiders isn't particularly abnormal, especially after this period of time, and we may indeed see that pick back up if they do much larger scale content drops again in the future. But the Marathon Arc Raiders conversation is pretty interesting because, yes, there's a lot of crossover in the concept of what the game is, although I think the delivery, art style especially, and the core gameplay, Marathon being a first-person shooter by Bungie, and carrying a lot of the traits of things like Destiny 2. Overall, I think they're quite different experiences. Bungie had also said that Marathon will not feature aggression-based matchmaking, and fundamentally I don't think that would make a lot of sense in Marathon because ultimately I think Marathon will end up being a much less cooperative game overall, which again will be a distinction against Arc Raiders. Something else to add in relation to Marathon, Bungie announced this week that they're heavily invested in networking and security for this game, with dedicated servers, server-side authority over key actions to reduce exploits, as well as fog of war to limit war hacks and loot revealers, and a solid disconnect recovery system. Bungie are really hammering home that they want the game to perform, but also robust anti-cheat measures, which part of the reason they'll be saying this is that there is a lot of conversation around cheating in Destiny 2, where I feel like Bungie have kind of invested in anti-cheat in a very minimal way over the last couple of years especially, relying instead on kind of manual moderation for the game, which is less than ideal. So Bungie are basically trying to calm those concerns, which again probably won't please a lot of Destiny players who've been frustrated with this issue, but Marathon confirmed anyone found to be cheating will be perma-banned from playing Marathon forever. No second chances. Let me know your thoughts with Bungie's track record on this down below. Marathon Server Slam, though, is coming up this week. They have said this will begin on the 26th of February, starting at 10 AM Pacific time. So if you're in any doubt as to whether you'll like Marathon, or you're curious to try it, this will be where we get to see it. And it will also give us a really solid indication of how Marathon will perform moving forward, especially if it manages to hold onto a bunch of players over the first few days. That'll be a good indication, although we don't need any more speculation because we'll find out very soon. Another thing that Bungie are going to do before Marathon launches, so probably in the next week, is drop a roadmap shortly before launch. So we'll get a concept of what the first season at the very least will be like. That will include timings for their kind of competitive or ranked mode. And the UASC Marathon map, which Bungie have said will be the kind of endgame destination with raid style mechanics, not dissimilar to Destiny. So lots of info going to be coming up in this next few days and I'll keep you posted. And I know for Destiny players who've been waiting for a roadmap for half a year, I'm not sure I'm ready for the crash out that will occur when Bungie instead give us a Marathon roadmap. We'll deal with that when we get to it. Up next, a little bit of news related to Crimson Desert. If you don't know about Crimson Desert, it's dropping on March 19th, and it's an action-adventure game by Pearl Abyss. any of you who know about Black Desert Online will be familiar with Pearl Abyss. I believe initially, Crimson Desert was going to be kind of a prequel to that, but they've instead turned it into its own standalone single-player title, as opposed to being more of an MMO type thing, so it'll be quite exciting, and I know a bunch of you guys are interested in that game, so let me know if you're looking forward to it. It might be something we can cover here on the channel. But, as reported by Paul Tassi here, Sony actually tried to lock up Crimson Desert as a timed PlayStation exclusive, so Pearl Abyss are actually not affiliated with Sony, but reportedly the developer were approached by Sony with a pitch that Sony would pay to make PlayStation its publisher, and in turn lock it up into an exclusive deal that would essentially mean it releases on PlayStation and avoids Xbox for an entire year. That's a very long exclusive period, of course. Importantly though, Pearl Abyss said no, and they decided to self-publish the game, which I think is fair play. As we said, that would have been an incredibly long exclusive period, which ultimately could have had a negative impact on the game, despite Sony being able to make money in that instance, so I think they made the right choice, and let us know if you're going to be jumping into Crimson Desert. Plus, look, you can carry a hog. Fuck it, I'm pre-ordering. Final bit of news for the moment here though. Details coming out of Xbox this week, and they have a new gaming CEO, Asher Sharma. So last week, Microsoft announced a massive shakeup of the division, with CEO Phil Spencer retiring and the president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, resigning as well. So quite a big switch up, but gamers are concerned about the new CEO's previous role as president of Microsoft's core AI product. So there are initially kind of connotations around AI. Generally speaking, the concept that AI may be developing parts of video games isn't massively popular with most gamers. Although in an attempt to kind of calm these concerns, Sharma said that she has no tolerance for bad AI, and that Xbox have no kind of willingness to chase short-term efficiency or to fill the ecosystem with soulless AI slop. She'd finished by saying games are, and always will be, art crafted by humans and created with the most innovative technology provided by us. But how this will play out in the long term, of course, also given that she's not particularly from a gaming background, at least in a professional capacity, that doesn't necessarily mean anything significant, but what is obvious is that Xbox and Microsoft are targeting a significant shakeup of the company, and this may indeed affect their plans for Xbox Studios, things like Game Pass, future console releases and more, so we'll see how it plays out over time. As I spoke about previously though, such as PlayStation shutting down Bluepoint last week, and the revelations about their attempts to buy exclusivity for Crimson Desert, more often than not, the most player-friendly IPs and studios in general seem to be self-published, right? Which I'm sure has a lot to do with the fact that they know they need their player bases on their side, as they don't have that kind of safety net of masses of cash and big corporations behind them to prop things up when they go wrong. So theoretically, the more of that we get, the better. For today, that's what we've got to talk about. So, share your thoughts on everything down in the comment section, impressions on this week's Arc Raider update, anticipation for Marathon, Crimson Desert, or any other titles in the near future. If you've enjoyed the video and want to stay locked in for more news, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. But otherwise, cheers for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.